Welcome to you all. Welcome to this explanation of the lunar eclipse in Aries, 25 degrees of Aries, that is going to happen around the 18th of October 2013. Now, I'm going to explain here what it's all about in general, and in the monthly horoscopes I will look in particular what this lunar eclipse means for you, for every sign, for Aries, for Taurus, and so on. It is a very, very positive lunar eclipse, so that's the most important thing to remember. It is about ideas. And where do I get this information? I have put a link below about the solar eclipses, so I'm not going to explain this in this video. But this solar eclipse that happens is from a certain solar, it's not a solar eclipse, it's a lunar eclipse. So this lunar eclipse that is happening belongs to the family of the 16th North. That is just a random number and it has a meaning. So it is part of other eclipses that occurred a long time ago. And if we want to look at the meaning of that eclipse, we need to know what happened when that eclipse was born. And the astrologer Bernadette has a book and she explains the flavor of that eclipse. So the first thing we need to do is to look at the explanation of that eclipse. And then we can, you could say, extrapolate, or how do you say that word, to this very moment, the 18th of October that is, to see what's happening with the other planets. What are they doing? And then we can put a little bit more detail onto that. But first of all, so the flavor of this eclipse, why is it a positive one? Because during the time of birth, the planets were in a positive combination with each other. And I'm just going to read what that astrologer Bernadette says about this particular eclipse. So if you've got any points, an ascendant, a midheaven, a sun, a moon, or whatever personal planet you've got on that particular 25 degrees of Aries, or let's say the very end of Aries, it will have a meaning for you. And it is all about inspiration. It is all about good ideas. That it is insight, that is giving you insight, and it is good to listen to it. That's what the explanation says, very briefly, but very important on a collective level for all of us. Even if we don't have any planets there, this eclipse, which is a full moon, which is the moon in Aries and the sun in Libra, this eclipse means for everyone they have a certain aspect, a certain chart, a certain area of their life where that moon falls into. So it's for all of us relevant that we are going to have some good ideas. How good is that? And inspiration. So keep that in mind. That is the explanation of when the eclipse family started, where it belongs to. But we have to look at the now as well. Where are we now? And what is happening when this full moon occurs? What are the other planets doing? Well, first of all, let's look on the element of Aries and Libra. So the moon is at the very end of Aries, which is all about me, which is all about I want, which is all about action, courage, braveness. And the sun is in Libra, which is its opposite sign, which is all about balance, which is all about taking in consideration other people. So that's the opposition. Full moons are always times of insights already, and times of when some things happen, or also on an emotional level. Now what this moon in Aries on an emotional level means that we will all feel the need and the urge to act. Why is that? Because a moon in Aries feels secure when they act. The moon is here ruled by Aries, and the boss of Aries is Mars. So Mars is all about taking action. So for all of us, we will have the urge to act, to start something new, to pioneer on whatever level it is for you. Is it in your 4th house? It's about your house, or maybe you're going to move. Is it in your 7th house? It's about relationship, and so on and so on. But this is the flavor. It's about independence. It's about finding your independence. It's about you being brave. Now, it's also about, as I said, getting active. But now it becomes very interesting because of the Antiscia points. Now, what is Antiscia? I'm not going to explain it fully, but Antiscia is very simple. Every sign has its Antiscia sign. And Antiscia means that actually those two signs, they kind of merge. They kind of work together. But in secret, under the surface, no one sees it. Now, for planets in Aries, its Antiscia is always points in Virgo. In other words, if you have planets in Aries, its Antiscia is in Virgo, and vice versa. If you've got planets in Virgo, you will find its Antiscia in Aries. And that's why a lot of people who have personal planets in Virgo have a lot of people around them who support them and who are Aries people. And the other way around. A lot of people with planets in Aries do attract people in their life who are Virgos or who have planets there. And they help them with their growth on an unconscious level. So not really knowing what it is that they do that is so interesting about them. So Antiscia means the merging of the energies of those two signs, but really under the surface, so no one will see it. And another thing about Antiscia is the following. We have 30 degrees in one sign. So if you have, for instance, a planet at 1 degree of Virgo, its Antiscia will be 30 degrees minus that 1 degree. In other words, 29 degrees of Aries. And the same for Aries. If you've got like a planet at 5 degrees of Aries, its Antiscia point will be 30 minus 5 is 25 degrees of Virgo. So this is very important because there is interesting stuff going on with the Antiscia point. So you need to know and understand that. Right. Now those two signs are very important. Why? Because if we take 25 degrees of Aries where this lunar eclipse is happening and we find its Antiscia point, how much is that? Well, that's 5 degrees of Virgo, right? There's a planet right there at that very moment, which is, you could say, coincidence, at the around 5 degrees of Virgo. And that planet is Mars. So I'm not really good at drawing, and I hate it because I'm not having any patience with it. But to show it very quickly, I want you just to focus on this moon and this sun, which are in an opposition at the 18th. And you see that at the very end of Aries, its Antiscia point is here at the very beginning of Mars, and that is a Virgo, and that is Mars there. Now let's do the same with the sun. Let's do the same with finding an Antiscia point at 25 degrees of Libra. If we have 25 degrees of Libra, that's me being very, very Aries-like, very clumsy. 25 degrees of Libra, its Antiscia point is Pisces. So that's just a rule. Everything in Pisces, its Antiscia is in Libra. The same, people who have a lot of planets in Libra, they get along well with Pisceans on an unconscious level, and vice versa. So 25 degrees of Libra means around 5 degrees of Pisces. Who's there at 5 degrees of Pisces? Is there any planet there nowadays? Yes, there is. There's Neptune there. Neptune. In other words, we're not only dealing with a lunar eclipse between an opposition between the moon and the sun, we're also dealing with Antician points who happen to be exactly in each other's opposition, Mars and Neptune. Now I'm throwing away this board because it's annoying me. But I just wanted to show that visually, that Mars and Neptune are at that very moment where there is this lunar eclipse, they are opposing each other. Now that in itself would say it's important, but that the Antician points of the moon and the sun are exactly on Mars and Neptune, that is a message from above, you could say. Now what is this all about? First of all, we have to understand the signs, and we have to understand the signs of Aries, Virgo, and we have to understand the opposition between Mars and Neptune, because there's the key. So we had in mind, okay, that eclipse, that Saros family eclipse, it's about ideas and visions, and it's about having good ideas. That's one thing. Now we are seeing that we need to take action. Whatever drives us emotionally, the moon in Aries, we need to take action. So it's time, you could say, around the 18th, it's time to take action. But how to take action? You need to look at the ruler of that moon, which is Mars, because, as I said, moon in Aries is ruled by Mars, you could say. The ruler of Aries is Mars. And that gives us a clue of how we need to act. Do we need to act fast or slowly or whatever? Well, it's a Mars in Virgo, so we need to act with an eye for the details. We need to act with planning, with doing little things, and with really getting into the technique and into the detail and into the planning. That's one message. But on the other hand, there's Neptune in Pisces. That's also a message. This Mars, the way we need to take action is not only the Virgo way of trying to be pure, trying to be perfect, trying to do the right thing, trying to be objective. This is all needed nowadays, and especially around the 18th of October. But it is also needed to be aligned with Neptune in Pisces. It's an opposition, which means it's kind of a paradox. How can you be looking at the detail and being Neptunian at the same time? Well, it shows that it can, and that is the key. Being Neptunian at the same time, I mean being open, having trust, and connecting with what we know is best for us. Connecting with our higher self, connecting with Source, connecting with, some people call it God. Whatever it is that we belong to something that is bigger than us. So that can sound contradictory, but actually it's a very powerful aspect, having Mars in an opposition with Neptune. It means that there is eye for the detail, and you put your fully action there, and then you let it go. That's what Neptune is all about. You don't worry what the negative side is of having a Mars in Virgo. So you could say the planets and the stars are really asking of all of us to really get real, to really get objective, to really get into the details and to have the proof in front of our face to get real. But at the same time, whilst we're all doing this, it's also asking, let go of it. Put your energy into it, and then let go of the energy. Don't go back. And we all know that, don't we? That at certain points in our lives, we want to control stuff. Whether it is a person or a job or whatever. We put energy towards it, and then we get stuck. And this is what we not should do. We should do the effort and then let go of it. That's Neptune asking making a conversation with Mars. Hey, you did your stuff, now let go of it. Have trust in me, have trust in the universe. Be aligned with the divine and you will be well. I compare it actually with, why did I call it the spiritual dancer, this title? Because this is exactly what comes up the vision between the Mars in Virgo and the Neptune in Pisces. All of us, hopefully, have ever been to a dance performance. If you go to a dance performance, and it doesn't matter whether it is jazz or ballet or whatever, there are a lot of dancers who have the Mars in Virgo, who have, in other words, the technique, who have the technique to put their legs up in the air and do crazy stuff with the legs, and that we say, wow, you really have to do exercise to do that, to be able to do that. This is someone who really has got the technique. But if a dancer only uses that, you could say, I'm not really touched with what I see. I don't really feel connected. So I don't think that that dancer is a good dancer or a wonderful dancer. Let's look at the other side. Only the Neptunian dancer, the Neptune in Pisces, which could be a dancer who is very psychedelic, which could be a dancer who's very much about in the flow and connecting with all there is, but is a bit dizzy or makes you dizzy, and is not really on planet Earth. So that person, that dancer, can have a great time, but you as the audience, there's no connection because you think this person is in its own world. Now let's have a dancer who combine these two. Now that would be a magical dancer, wouldn't it? Or wouldn't he or she? Because then you've got a dancer who's got all the techniques, who's got the basis, but who also has a spirit, who is connected, where the inspiration flows, where the spirit and the fire flows, and they touch their audience. And then the public is saying, this is mesmerizing, or this is not only mesmerizing, is not a good word, although it does match the Neptune Mars thing, but it is about, it's inspirational. You're looking at an artist and not just a dancer. So this is how we should do our dance, individual, with this lunar eclipse. We have to take action, that's clear. We have to do it in a Virgo way, with all emphasis on the details, that's clear. But we also have to let go of it and even try to do what's best for everybody, everyone. In other words, for the collective. That's a very interesting aspect between this Mars and this Neptune. And because this all, this has to do with Antiscia, this is the undercover energy. This is the energy that is not seen, this Mars-Neptune opposition. And of course, you can read books about Mars and Neptune, and it's all about the mist, and it's all about not knowing where you're going and being insecure and all of that. Yes, that could be possible, but not when you do it right. Not when you integrate both energies. Not when you integrate the Virgo and the Piscean. Those two can have a great deal in common, because those two are also have to do with healing on a collective level. So what started with Aries, this lunar eclipse, ends up with doing something that has its meaning for others and with all there is as well. In other words, when you do something for yourself that is in touch and connected with the higher self and with the divine, then you can do great stuff. This is the perfect marriage between earth and fire. Wind also, but no, that's not a song, it's a group who I like. But the earth and the fire, it's not a combination that is not interesting or that is incompatible, not at all. The fire is the vision and is the ideas. You know, that eclipse that Bernadette talks about. It's the vision and it's the ideas. But what just with the vision, if you can't put it into place here on planet Earth? That's the Virgo side. That's the Earth side. So they can work very well together. They do great stuff. A lot of what a message that the planets have for us at this moment. What a message with this lunar eclipse at 25 degrees of Aries. I wish you all the best with it. And in the monthly horoscopes, I will take a look at it for every sign. Thank you very much for listening. Wish you all the best. Bye bye.